Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Heilung live stream. It's good to see everyone. We already got 10 people waiting here. It's good to see you all. Let me get a little bit more lighting here. So for anyone joining us after the fact, this live stream is not going to be too terribly long, and I will have a small section at the end to answer your questions on Heilung and how it was seeing them live. But for the most part, I just wanted to kind of run through the show, at least how they played at Red Rocks in 2021. A lot of it just for my own sake. Honestly, I just want to record these things while they're still fresh in my mind. I was going to try to do this at the airport. It turns out it's very hard to find any form of privacy in an airport, especially in Denver airport, when apparently it's really busy. And so, yeah, I wasn't able to find any privacy to do that there. So here we are, a couple days after the show. So I really wanted to make sure I sat down, talked about it with all of you, shared my experiences, and really just really talked about the show because it was 2 years in the making. I mean, I bought my tickets for this in like 2019, and right basically when they announced them the first time. And then of course everything happened and it got canceled. So I completely forgot I even had the tickets for the longest time until like 3 weeks before the show. I was planning to do a Heilung video, and I was going to title it "How Heilung Changed Heathenry." And I started, doing research, and I was like, "Oh, they're actually playing at Red Rocks. I wonder if I still have those tickets." And sure enough, I still had those tickets. And so somehow in the last 3 weeks before the show started, I actually ended up going. And this ended up happening with one of our friends in the community as well. Found out he had 4 extra tickets. And so about 5 of us went, and then we ran into 4 other people. Well, 2 we knew, and they had 2 as well. So we ended up having 9 people watch the show together. Truly an incredible experience. So like I said, I'm going to try to keep this relatively condensed. I'm going to take a spot here in the beginning to kind of say hello to everybody. And then I'm just going to kind of run through the experience of the show, because there's quite a few things. I had like 7 main things I wanted to talk about and share with you from this. I wish I could share video in the live stream. Maybe I can, but I'm just not very good at that. I will be releasing a video still titled "How Heilung Changed Heathenry" in the coming weeks. I did get interviews with people at the show, discussing their experiences with Heilung and how they got into it for the first time. And then I'll be talking about their history and kind of where their sound comes from. And of course, sharing some footage from the show that I got and all that good stuff. So look for that video in a couple weeks, but this is really just here to capture my experience and how it was seeing them. Precursor, I did see them live in Chicago. I do have a video up about that as well, back in 2020, at the very beginning of the year. So I'll be comparing a little bit to that experience and this experience now. So just to say hello to everyone here and your very strange YouTube names as always. We have Luke and Mum, Dingo Lightfoot, Super Bean 1967, Daniel Jackson, Chris Lesnar, Kingdom of Vinland, Spanish Norse Pagan, Dingo Lightfoot again, Terry Holtman, it's good to see you, Terry, Grimnir Leviathan, good to see you. I know this normally I see you on the old Patreon live stream as well. I see you, Cat in here, Damien Chaos, Chivalrous Jack. Chivalrous Jack is actually kind of a cool name. I like that. Amy, I see you as well. Soul Sounds, I see you. Bjorn, I see you. And Medi, I see you as well. So let me see here. Let me read through this real quick. Wisdom says, don't wear warm hats inside climate-controlled rooms. I do this because my hair was crazy. So Wisdom says that if you are doing a live stream and your hair's nuts, just put on a hat. Right back at you. So Maddie says, hello, I'm not really into the music, more into the face. Sometimes hard to connect when I'm not connected to community. So that's actually a good kind of transition into the band itself, because one of the best parts about it is the fact that I think it was about 10,000 people, because I think Red Rocks is 10,000 or 9,000 seats or 9,500. And there was people definitely not in the seats, lined all along the edges. It was a completely sold out show. And so, you got to figure everyone there, for the most part, was into the, like, weren't necessarily pagan, weren't necessarily heathen. I mean, there was definitely a lot of people there that were. There was a decent amount of people dressed up and all that good stuff. And some people are clearly into Viking stuff. I mean, I saw some people who were, wearing crosses and things like that. But at the same time, no matter who you are, when you come to that show, you're into something. You're into some kind of natural-based religion and spirituality. You're connected to the earth in some way, because I feel like there's no really any other reason to be at a Heilung show. I mean, I did interview one person who said they were into like the metal scene, and that's how they got into Heilung. But even after then, she was talking about how, it's more of a spiritual experience at the same time. Also, Skull, everybody. Pinkies up. Oh, that's a good one. So as far as like getting started into the show itself, I think the most powerful experience, and honestly, I'm a little glad I'm doing this now and not the day after, because it was actually really hard to talk about. So the opening ceremony, they obviously do their opening lines, like their opening oath to, we all descend from the one great being, before we lived and named all the things and all that good stuff. I love it. And also it's interesting. I went back and watched their Castle Fest video from one of their first live videos they put up at Lifa. And no one in the audience was really chanting it with them, but basically everyone was chanting it with them at this one, and it was great. But right before they did that, they normally come out and they like sage the stage or bless the stage, cleanse the stage. And they normally come out and do that, or have one of the band members come out and do that. But this time, they had some members of Native American tribes come out. Now, from what I could tell, it wasn't necessarily just one tribe. I think they posted the names of all the people that did it, and with their tribes as well. So I saw several different tribes in there. But it was honestly a very powerful experience, seeing like the smoke machine come out, and then these people from the Native American communities coming out, and they're full of outfits. They were singing as well. They had drums, and they were just blessing the stage. And honestly, it made me cry because it was just like I wasn't just like like I wasn't doing that, but it was a very subtle weeping. It was crazy because it was just so powerful to see such an old world spirituality that still exists and still holding on come out, and then join hands with this northern spirituality that we're experiencing in Heilung, and watching those two worlds come together. And especially at a place like Red Rocks, outside under the stars, in a place that is a very sacred place in general, having that connection. And then Heilung came out. They all formed a circle together, and then they gave essentially offerings to the gods, to the spirits. They placed things down on the ground to leave as gifts before the show began. And it just really set the precedent, really showing what this can be. Because Heilung is a very intense band, and yet they still stand for something like unity and spirituality. And there is so many commonalities between the Native American belief systems, as varied as they are, with the northern spiritualities as well. So truly a very powerful moment. And I take notes, on my phone about, like a journal essentially. And I was on the plane on the way back, and I got the damn middle seat. Hate the middle seat so much. And I was in the middle seat in the very back of the plane, squeezed in. I'm a wide dude. I'm squeezed in there, and I was typing away on my journal. And I got to this bit talking about this, and it just happened again. My eyes just started leaking because it was such a powerful experience getting to watch that happen. It brought me to tears, and I could just tell everyone was moved by it. And it was just so cool. So obviously moving into the concert itself, I did just, I don't have a complete song list. Honestly, I can't remember because most of the time I was just like the whole time. So I just wrote down the most memorable moments and the most memorable songs. Again, seeing them in Chicago, I got to see what they did differently. One, they've grown so much in the, they haven't had many live performances, obviously, through 2020. I think they had a couple, like the Alcatraz thing. So they've had a couple live performances leading up to Red Rocks. But truly, this was a huge step up, even from the Chicago show. And definitely, like I said, I just watched the Castle Fest one, which was like 3 years old now. And they have come so far. They're way more animated. They get way more into it. The audience gets way more into it. Maybe it was, I don't know if this was their biggest show. It had to be at least top 5 biggest shows they've had. 10,000-ish people. That's absolutely incredible. Wardruna sold that out. Wardruna has been around for, more than a decade, and Heilung sold out Red Rocks. And such a powerful experience watching everyone get into it as well. Let me kind of catch up on these a little bit. Cody McAllister, sounds like you were at the show. Cody, are you the same Cody I met? Because if so, that's dope. You said it took a while to process the whole thing. And I don't even think I processed anything after leaving. It wasn't until the next day that it just all kind of hit me. And even still, I'm still kind of going through it now. This one stayed with me longer than even the Chicago show truly. Spanish Norse Pagan, man, how cool. They really set the mood. Yeah, they really did. Luke and Mom said, I think your channel was suggested to me because I found Heilung. Hey, that's great. Honestly, hello, Miri. Everyone say hello to Miri. She's down there somewhere. Miri, where are you at? Come to the camera. There she is. Yeah. She was really mad at me for leaving the house again for an extended period of time after 3 months gone. So yeah, Heilung, one of the reasons I wanted to make a video called How Heilung Changed Heathenry, one, because it was catchy, but because the first time I saw Heilung live in Chicago was 2 months before I had my first gathering in Kentucky, and that is really what inspired me to do the rituals the way I do, and really has stayed with me throughout all this. And of course, going to this concert, I was taking mental notes and I've written down notes on things I learned from them watching them perform that I want to bring into my own ritual practice now. And I would say they are the number one influence to my own personal religious practice as far as like community and things like that. Such a powerful experience. I'm probably going to say that a dozen times. So the next song I want to talk about is Alfata here. Alfata Haiti. I'm sorry. I'm a little tired too. Alfata Haiti. The thing I love about this song, they played it relatively early, which I don't think in Chicago they played it too early. But the thing I love about this song is it sets the tone very quickly. It's really high energy. It gets everyone shouting. And that's something that I really realized was important for this show is you could shout as loud as you want, but no one would hear you. You couldn't even hear yourself. It was so loud. I was right next to the stage for the most part. I think it was row 10, row 11. And yeah, I mean, I could scream at the top of my lungs and you couldn't hear it at all. I couldn't hear it. And so, getting to sing along to this, because essentially it's a swearing of oaths. You summon these, Kai summons the gods, and then he goes to each of the individual warriors and has them swear oaths on the spear. And so he shouts something, and then the oath is chanted by the warrior and by the whole audience. And you're just sitting there shouting at the top of your lungs, everyone's doing it. It's great. And I was there with Caleb Baker, who's on the podcast and does our tattoos as well. And he, of course, did the Beast of Odin thing we've talked about in the podcast back last fall. So he can really get into some primal stuff. And right before that song, because I remembered how hard it hit me in Chicago. So right before that song, I looked at him dead in the eye and was like, Caleb, you're not ready for this. And he was like, what? And then sure enough, by the end, he just let out this blood curdling scream. And it's like, it just pierced everything. And it was such a powerful experience. I love that song because it really calls to a very primal nature. But I think it's also one of the more direct religious songs because it calls to the gods directly. It calls to Odin directly. So I really love that song. Bjorn says he loves that song as well. Maddie says, are you still in Germany? No, I have returned home to my humble abode. You can only stay for 3 months if you're not a citizen or anything like that. So I eventually had to come home. Amy says, how do you think, like in American Gods, Odin is living off all that energy being offered him? So that was actually something that I thought about. Well, not necessarily the American Gods route, but the fact that 10,000-ish people were on the side of a mountain at a sacred place with a natural amphitheater, listening to music that is, from people from Europe with Native Americans, there as well, shouting into the heavens, just shouting to the sky. Like, if there's one place the gods were looking at, it was in Morrison, Colorado, Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. There was so much power to that. And just being able to listen to that show, like listening to this music and then being able to look up at the stars, truly incredible experience. One thing I actually did do, and I recommend it if you can get away with it. I mean, maybe you can only do this at an outdoor venue. But I was like, man, I'm going to take my shoes off and I want to feel the full vibration because I had my hiking boots on because you can hike around Red Rocks, which are very thick. And so I took those bad boys off and I just had my bare foot on the concrete, and it was magical because I was able to feel the vibration both in my chest and in my feet from the stage. And it was awesome. And, I looked at Caleb like, bro, take your shoes off. And I had our other friend Ross next to me, and I was like, bro, take your shoes off. And he was like, I can't, they're too complicated because he was in like full gear. It was great. Reading all the comments. This is from Mitch. Reading all the comments for Heilung YouTube videos, you see a lot of people from Native American tribes raving reviews for tribal and how pure Heilung really is. And that, yeah, I mean, it was such a pure experience. I think that's a great word to say to it. So the next songs I wanted to talk about was songs I didn't hear about, didn't hear in Chicago. One which was out at this time, obviously, was Narupo. So I was surprised I didn't hear that in Chicago. But they did play Narupo at this one, and it was great. I mean, the way they do their music is you can't really tell what the song is until it really begins, and they have like their low gurgles, like they have that stuff going on, and so you can't tell until it actually happens. And Narupo was great, but the one that really stood out to me, and this is the one I wanted to see so bad, and the moment I heard this song, I knew this was the one I wanted to see live, and it was Svanrand or Svanrand. It's the one where it started, like the previous song is just all build up. And it talks, it's just like the sound of arrows hitting shields, like the smacking something. And the song begins with that, and it's like the battling of shields, and it's kind of like a war cry, and it's mostly Maria singing. And so I need more wine. So that song's starting. The moment I heard that arrow noise, I was like, yes, this one is going to be so good. And this is what I wanted to see them play live so bad. And let me tell you, this is one of my favorite sets they do, one of my favorite rituals they do, because they do it with the warriors again. And they do a very interesting choreographed dance for the sheer. Maybe I've had too much wine. Shield and spear. And so like there's 4 of them both across from each other, and they would basically do synchronized choreographed shield movements. And at the very end, all 4 would do the same. And they would like all point the shield inwards and then like kind of all slam them on the ground a little bit. And it was super powerful. Like I absolutely love that. So an amazing song to listen to. I mean, one of my favorite off the new album. And so seeing it live was absolutely incredible. Let's see. Oh yeah, all caught up. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was before we get there, Trouse was also played, and Trouse is honestly one of my favorite songs from them, hands down. It's got a long build up, like many of their songs do, but this is the one that to this day, if I listen to it live, if I listen to it in the car, I actually have to like pull off the road because it can really get in my head. And it is just such a powerful song. So of course I did see this live in Chicago, and this is the song where they tie up one of the it seems like typically one of the female warriors. They tie her up and like put like a spear behind her back with ropes. And it's like I looked up the lyrics once, and it's basically a song like a binding ritual. And then at the very halfway point, they release the spear. So Kai ties her up, and then Maria comes by, grabs it, and yanks the spear and freeing her. And then she also lets down her hair as well, and then really kind of unleashes. This is another song where audience participation is really good, because the song is really easy to kind of chant with them, and there's a really obvious chanting section, and it's just really intense. Seeing that song live is seriously like one of the most intense musical experiences I've ever had. So yeah, Trouse live was great. Spawnrad was great. So now we're here to the interesting bit. So the thing we didn't expect, no one expected, they didn't expect, is about 3/4 into the show, there was an audio outage. So you noticed it at first. I honestly can't remember what song it started in, but basically halfway, about a quarter through the song, you heard an audio skip where all the stereos kind of skip for a second. It was like, ooh, hopefully this doesn't continue. Sure enough, by about halfway through the song, all the audio completely cut out. And all you could hear was like the raw percussion. And obviously, you could, even at row 10, you couldn't actually hear them singing at all. So from what I heard from people that were really high up, this really sucked because you couldn't hear anything at all. But for me, I actually quite enjoyed it because you could hear the raw percussion of them just hitting the drums. And so it was really cool just getting to hear the raw sound, no, amplification, no nothing, bounce off the walls, being heard. So from my perspective, it was actually pretty cool to getting to see, what the performance would look like without all the audio magic we do nowadays. And one thing that was, they didn't have it for that song, and they kept going, they kept playing. And then the second time, the second song, I really couldn't even tell you what song it was because it didn't have it audio for the entire time. But they came out with like fire. They had like a fire. Can I help you? Okay. What are you doing? Choose a place to go. Choose a place to go. You want to go back there? You want to go look at birds? Nope. Mary? Mary? I need to do live stream now. All right, go back there. All right, lay down. No wine. You're too young. So yeah, the audio went out for the second song as well. And they came out with like basically like a mallet for a drum that was on fire. And like one of the warriors was holding their shield up, and Kai was literally just beating the crap out of the shield. And so I'm sitting here hearing him beat the crap out of the shield, like no audio amplification. It was honestly really cool. And again, it just really showed to me the power and the magic of this is not just in the technology side. It's not just in the amplification, but I'm sure the people in like row 80 were not feeling the same thing. But the sound eventually did come back, and the reason they kept going, Now, originally, I assumed they kept going because they are, this is a ritual, not just a concert. And for them to break, character, trance, so to speak, is really not in their repertoire. So that's why I automatically assumed they kept going. But from the very beginning, I was very suspicious of this show. I was like, look, it's Red Rocks. It's their only show in the United States. And they had a lot of filming equipment there. I mean, I'm talking like heavy duty stuff, not the normal stuff. And so I had assumed basically from the beginning that they were going to film this to either put this on YouTube and or sell it as a DVD as they've done in the past. And I think they basically confirmed it this morning with their post about the concert that they will be doing a DVD release version. And so the way they do that is all the instruments and audio and things like that have separate receivers in them that record audio. So those were still working, and that's why they had to continue the performance to record those. So none of that will actually be lost for the actual release of that. So we'll see how that turns out. But I'm really excited to see that because, again, this was an amazing show. It truly was. So yeah, this is called a review. It was amazing. And if you ever have the chance to see Heilung, it's probably the most unique and magical musical experience you've ever had in your life. And if you're a Norse pagan or interested in any form of spirituality outside of the normal mold, it's an amazing experience. Again, my uncle is a Christian and he went to the first one, and he's not he's a Bible Christian, not a church Christian, if that makes sense. And he had an amazing time, like absolutely incredible time. So no matter what you believe in, truly amazing experience. Potato Peeler, great name from someone from Northern Ireland. Good to see you. Nate says, please grab the glass by the stem. You're driving me nuts. What? No, I'll drink how I like. Thank you very much. Why? No, it's my wine glass. I'll do what I please. I'll get my fingerprints all over it. Now, mind you, when I was in the restaurant business, I never would do that. I always grabbed right here because I was always told above that is for the customer. And Nate, I am the customer. So after the audio outage, they had about 2 or 3 more songs, and just enough to keep you going. Now, I was thinking that 1.5 songs was fine, but if there was a 3rd song, that would have sucked for the people there. Again, it's fun for a little bit to hear the percussion. But at the end of the day, we paid to come to a full concert, and it would have really sucked if that was the whole show. But they did get the audio back for the last 3. And so the biggest song at the very end, and I remember this from the Chicago performance as well. I actually never really liked the song Hammer Hippia. I never really, it's weird not hearing it in a singing Kai voice. Just actually saying it like normal words is kind of boring and hard. So that song, I never actually really liked when I listened to it originally. I liked it in a Heilung way, but never in a casual listen way. But now I have that song tied to 2 different memories of people absolutely losing their shit. Because that song is the release. That song is the dance. That is the energy explosion after all the buildup. I mean, truly, it is just, it's absolutely crazy. You have to be there to experience it. And it changes your perspective on this song. Because one, I actually did look up the meaning for this with Logan and Mary. So this song is actually based on the rune healing charm or rune healing spell about mending the bones. And then the main line, Hammer Hippia, means hang the animals, which is basically leave the offering. And so that is said over and over again, dozens and dozens, if not over hundreds of times, of hang the animals and leave the offering. And it's a healing spell. And the way I interpret this based on what Heilung means, Heilung literally means healing. Amplified history is their entire thing. And so for me, this is not just a simple healing spell. This is a song that they're really giving to heal the world, giving to heal the spirituality of this world, to heal nature. And so all this energy for the concert, for me, builds up to this song. And this is really what is important. And so it is just so powerful because essentially, like, they break the warriors away from their trance that they started in Alfata Hatia. And that trance is broken, and they drop their shields, they drop their spears, and they just start going absolutely bananas. I mean, they're literally on the stage just like doing that, doing all kinds of weird twisty things. And one was like crawling on the ground like he was just like in The Exorcist. And they were just like going nuts. I know in Chicago they crowd surfed, which was great, but obviously they couldn't do that at Red Rocks because it's like really steeply inclined, and that would be incredibly dangerous. And so everyone in the audience too was just like like the whole time. Ross, who's next to me, has like long blonde hair, and he was just like flowing in the breeze. And this is when I looked over in Chicago, and there was a dude. He had like long metal hair. I looked over at him. We didn't know each other, but he was just like the whole time. So this song really does something to you. And again, I think it really, sends that spell out, sends the ritual out, releases the energy. I mean, it is truly incredible. The amount of energy that was released during that song, and it gets your heart pumping. I mean, that's the song that really gets me when I look back. And not only that, but for this performance, about halfway through, like the crazy dance, the Native American performers came out and danced with the warriors from Heilung, and they were also just like sitting there losing their mind, maybe a little less so than the tranced out warriors. But it was just so cool to get to see the Native American performers with the Heilung warriors. I mean, with Kai there, Maria there, Christopher Yule, everyone just really getting into it. It was just amazing. So the last note here I really had about the performance is, since this is my second time at a Heilung concert, I was able to do a little spying, because the first time they had me completely in their spell, completely in their grasp. And so this time I was able to watch what they were doing to catch some interesting things. And so one is Christopher Yule is not given enough appreciation. So he's the third main permanent member of Heilung. He's the one that plays a large mixture of instruments, including like the war horn. He clings a sword. And I was watching him a lot more. Don't get me wrong. Kai is great. I've learned a lot about shamanic practice and stuff just by observing him. And Maria is great too. I mean, just absolutely incredible singing voice. But Christopher Yule is the man behind the curtain. He is pulling, what band is he talking about? Heilung? If you haven't looked up Heilung and you watch this channel, you need to stop watching this live stream and go watch Heilung. Doodle Mosh, you will lose your shit. You will have a great time. Go do it right now. So Christopher Yule, he is basically, he has so many different instruments around him. Like I said, the horn, he plays a sword. He's got drums around. He's got so much going on. And this time, this motherfucker was painting. He literally had a painting set up, and he was sitting there, and every now and then he would go and paint it. And I think they uploaded the picture of what he was painting during the show, or at least what he went finished. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, at least I'm pretty sure it was him. I mean, if I'm wrong, correct me, but like, he was painting from what I could tell. And then the thing I watched him do that I really, really want to know, Christopher Yule, if you ever watch this, I need to know this, and I need to interview you, and I need to figure out why you were doing this. He had 3 cups of some form of liquid under his set. And at first I thought he was just drinking. And just drinking some water, because everyone did. And he snuck down, he took 1 sip, put down the 1 cup, went for the 2nd cup, took a sip, 3rd cup, took a sip. Now again, maybe this is just some kind of liquid mixture to make your keep your throat loose from all the strenuous singing. But the 3 liquids was very interesting to me. And it wasn't, he did it almost in a ritualistic way. He did it like 3 times, so that's 9 different drinks in total. And so I'm like, there's some kind of background ritual, if you know what I'm saying. Or maybe he was just really thirsty. But there seems to be something here. And I was watching it, and I'm like, I feel like I'm onto something, and I need to know. I need to interview those cups and figure out what's going on. And if I am ever blessed with an interview for Heilung, which is something that is obviously on my bucket list, and I would absolutely lose my mind, the main thing I really want to know is what their pre-ritual is, because I know they don't just put on the makeup, put on the uniform, and head out on stage. I know that's not it, because to do something like this, they would need that spiritual pre-ritual. They would need a post-ritual, because I know that's why they don't speak afterwards. They don't come out and they say, "Hey, thanks for coming out tonight. It was really great seeing you all. Oh my God, this is great." I know that's why they don't, because you can't. Because I know how it is when you go into a ritual, you perform something like that. You can't just be normal afterwards. You can't just be normal beforehand. You need that buffer time. So mark my words. This is the main question I want to know. Heilung, if you ever let me interview you, Christopher, Maria, Kai, this is what I want to know. This is what I really care about, is the spiritual before and after for this. Because you are able to do something truly incredible, and it's only something that I can hope to only gain a fracture of in the rituals we perform with the Wisdom of Odin community. So this is the stuff I'm paying attention to now. So every time I go see Heilung now, I'm gonna be feeling the music, and then observing, okay, how are they doing this? Because it is truly inspiring and incredible. Peach says, I bet they have honey in the drinks. Yeah, I mean, I would assume so because weird, fun pull-in thing there. So I know for like oh, what's his name for playing Smeagol in Lord of the Rings, he had to have like a special liquid they called like Gollum juice or something like that, or Smeagol juice, and it was just like a weird combination of like water, tea, and honey or something like that, and it was like hot, so he could actually get that like all the time. So he had a special drink for that. But the fact that it was 3 is the thing that threw me off. So ooh, I feel like I missed something here. What did I misspell it in the title of the video? What? Am I a fool? Woo. I don't know what you're talking about. I totally didn't just change that right now. That's crazy. Thank you for catching that. There's a few things I never claimed to be. 1, I'm definitely not good at grammar. And 2, I am terrible at math. And I will never claim anything otherwise. So thank you for catching me on that. Luckily, it's just you lovely alive people, and hopefully not Heilung when they hopefully watch this and want to be interviewed by me, because that would be great. Kingdom of Vinland, I don't know what you're talking about. It's changed now. I mean, to be fair, you know, it was Heilung, so it was like basically healing. Someone could have told me before I actually did this lecture. Anyways, getting towards the end of this, the last few things I wanted to talk about was the overall aesthetics of it. Obviously, Red Rocks, if you've never been there, even if it's not Heilung, you need to go to Red Rocks. It is one of the most incredible music venues on the planet because it's outside, it's natural, it's raw. It is just absolutely mind blowing. The size of those rocks, the area around it is beautiful. Denver, I mean, I've been to Denver a couple times now for Wardruna and now Heilung, and Denver itself, I'm not a big fan of. But the mountains are truly incredible, and I mean that's obviously why I go to Denver, I go hiking there, and all that stuff. So truly an incredible experience, and so yeah, Red Rocks, just go if you can, and then Heilung in particular, if they ever go back there, which I hope they do, try to go there. Words can't describe the beauty that is created there. I mean, I was sitting there eating my hot dog with ketchup on it, and I had a water that cost me $20, and I was just sitting on the ledge and looking over like the mountain range, and Heilung was going to play right next to me in 30 minutes, sitting there eating my hot dog, and then I had all these wonderful people come up as I was covered in ketchup, saying they love the channel and things like that, and then ran into a lot of people, including Cody in here. So it was just an incredible experience, inside and out. Truly go to Red Rocks if you can. But the overall vibe was very different. So I've been to quite a few live shows. So as some of you may know, I used to be a photographer by trade all the time. That used to be my full-time gig. And I would mostly do concert photography. So I was the dude in the pit, getting my eardrums blasted off and taking pictures of musicians. And I really loved that world. It's really hard. It's a super wild life, following bands around and taking photos and things like that. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. Got to learn a lot about the ins and outs of the industry, at least from a photographer's perspective. So I've seen how a lot of audiences react to various different bands. And something that I love about Heilung is people do not pull out their phone near as much as any other concert in this world. And it's something for me, like I was recording a video about this for my channel, and I felt wrong for recording it. Even though this was my second show, I do not get a lot of footage. I think in total, I probably got a minute of footage of the actual concert because it felt wrong because I was not there to record it. This was not meant for a screen. This was meant to be experienced and to be felt. And even like one critique I would have of Red Rocks, again, this is probably a first world problem being in the 10th row, is the screen was like right next to me and it was brighter than the stage. And so it was sometimes harder, it would draw my attention when I didn't want to look at it just because it was so bright and in my face. But I know it's helpful for the people in the back because I was the guy in the back, Wardruna. And so, but the fact that you can look across the crowd and it's probably 50% or 80% better than any other concert I've ever seen with people on their phones. Of course, people still do it, but it's pretty incredible how little people do it there. And I think that adds to the overall vibe. Like at one point you hear, this was at Wardruna too. I heard a guy that was just like, "Hail Odin," across the crowd. I mean, great. People just cheering, lots of people doing like warrior cries, lots of random just hooting and hollering. And then of course, in like, Alfata Hatia, they do like the woo, 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 like the wolf noises and stuff. And so like everyone just started doing that. And there was just so much funky things going on. And the wide variety of people you get at this concert. You get the metalheads, you get the people, the secret YouTubers who dress really normal so they're not recognized as easily. The people that get in full ritual garb. I know Matthias Nordvig was there, who's written books. I'm sure Crawford was probably hiding in a tumbleweed and a mask or something like that. Come here, Mary. There we go. Say hi to the people. She's a little dragon. Oh, you wanted to stay there. Oh no, she's stuck. Okay. Get away from my wine. So yeah, this overall vibe of the concert was just absolutely incredible. Let's see here. The cesspool of Denver. Yeah. Can't say I love Denver that much. Well, and one thing that honestly is I don't particularly like it. I've had my stoner days back in art school. Obviously, I was in art school. And I still partake of the marijuana every now and then. But when I'm at a Heilung concert and you basically just smell pot the entire time as everyone is smoking pot, even though you're not technically supposed to at Red Rocks, it still happens. Like, it's legal there now. It's an outdoor venue. People are smoking pot the entire time. And so it was getting a little bit annoying every now and then. Like it was a little, if I had to complain about the show, it's that, obviously audio missing, it happens. The smell of marijuana, bright screen. There was minor complaints I can have, but overall an amazing experience. Gray Wolf asked, what wine are you drinking? It is a peach Riesling, I believe. It's really delicious. So let's see here. Manny says, how would you feel about some internationals coming to one of your gatherings? I mean, in the past year, it wasn't even an option, but I mean, we would love to. We have Chris or Safa or Nick and Terry, who are international fellowship leaders right now, who are trying to put gatherings on internationally. And one of our dreams is to bring them over. So, I mean, yeah, of course, we would love to have people internationally over. Let's see here. Cody also says, I would avoid Denver like the plague. Spanish Norse Pagan says, this was fun. To all my may the gods keep blessing you all. Spanish Norse Pagan, have a great night. If you're still here, love you. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Tysaurus Work says, hey, Jacob, it was awesome spotting you and getting to experience Heilung together. Tyler, spotting in the wild. Yeah. Tyler, do we meet or did you just spot me? I can't remember if I met a Tyler or not. Bjorn says, I find Brothers of Metal to have great energy. It's just nice hard rock. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people are into them. Mitch says, Heilung, healing, same thing. Yeah, I'm glad everyone understands. Del Schneider says, hello again, Jacob. Another case of better late than never. Yeah, truly. So yeah, just getting caught up on there. But really, that's, I think, all the notes I had on here. Again, I just really wanted to, kind of run through the set with you, run through the show. And of course, just give you my overall review. And again, just I will have a full-on kind of documentary style video titled Heathen, How Heilung Changed Heathenry, where I'll have interviews where people at the show, I'll talk about their history a little bit. And if they just choose to watch this live stream and all, and they're like, hey, you want to totally interview us? I would totally do that too, and that'd be really great. And you should totally do that one day. So apparently a lot of people don't like Denver, which is really funny. I've grown to like the Denver airport. I actually did like it. I didn't like picking someone up because it was almost impossible to tell if they were on the west or the east terminal, because I had to pick two people up, and I think I had to retry like twice because they didn't know where they were. But actually inside the terminal was kind of nice. There was a French bistro I really enjoyed. And then they had the outdoor spot you could sit and just observe the mountains while you waited for your plane. And I really like that. Denver is trash, man. No one really likes Denver. Okay. But Colorado is beautiful, though. Well, at least the west end of Colorado that isn't the, Dust Bowl. But everyone, I think this is probably it. I didn't want this to run too long because I wanted people to be able to and have access to watching this later. But Heilung truly is the most magical experience. One of the most magical experiences of my life. It's the greatest influence to how we run our rituals, I believe, and or at the very least, it's the greatest influence on how I run my rituals. Please keep an eye out for the Heilung video coming out. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here. And there's only 38 of us here. This is a pretty small one, which is fine with me. But at the very least, as I like to do at the end of these, and I almost forgot last time, we do a nice thing where we call the Skull Waterfall or the Scholar Fall. scholar fall. And yeah, that works. And so basically, I'm going to say until the hall, and then all of you are going to say skull, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And someone's already starting it. So everyone, thank you so much for joining me. And if you're watching this after the fact, thank you very much. And I hope you get to see Heilung one day. And I hope it's at the Red Rocks, because it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. So thank you to the band. Thank you to everyone who put it on. Thank you to the Native American people from various tribes that came and helped at this ritual. Truly, we are going to make this world a better place. And until the hall, skull. Let's see it, everybody. Let's get the scholar fall going. There we go. There we go. It's coming. There we go. I see you all. Oh, Heath, it's about time you finally joined us here at the very end. Yes. You all have a great night. Thank you.